Hello everybody here in attendance today, and welcome to the Paldea National Grand Exhibition Art Center, where today we're hosting a very, very special exhibition. Now, as you may or may not know, the Paldea Battle Academy is returning with many strong competitors in one of the biggest draft league tournaments this side of the Hisui River. And as our very own OnesieBanette is taking charge of his very, very own new team, the horny MILFs in your area, we've decided to host a very special exhibition featuring art from all over the Pokemultiverse. From artists such as Pablo Pikachu and Vincent Van Gogh. Welcome to the PBA Art Show Draft Analysis. Our first work here featured today is this exquisite Palafin. Costing a mere 20 points to draft, this thing is an absolute work of art. With monstrous muscles and incredibly high attack stat. Just look at that superb detailing on its pec muscles in particular. This creature is borderline broken, and its essence is captured in this magnificent piece here today. It does very well with its signature bulk-up jet punch sets, and its ability to hit incredibly hard with wave crash. I'm sure that the horny MILFs will be able to make the most of this magnificent creature. Following on from that incredible Palafin you saw, we have a brand new piece from esteemed artist Vincent Van Gogh. This esteemed Goodra Hisui meshes very well with the Palafin that we saw earlier. They complement each other beautifully, both stylistically in the choice of tone and thematically in how well they synergize on a Pokémon team together. While Palafin synergistically is weak to grass-type moves, Goodra is not only resistant, it could potentially become immune to them, thanks to the Sap Sipper ability. This pairing of these two pieces right here is very nostalgic of a Renaissance era, where art was very fluid, and so many powerful artists were coming up with brand new inspirational pieces, and I'm sure that the eccentric genius of OnesieBanette will be able to make this pair work very well together. Now, next up in our grand exhibition, we have this beautiful, incredible drawing of an Enamorous Therian. Based on the world turtle, this creature shows life can be drawn and survive in many different areas. Life always finds a way, just like I'm sure OnesieBanette will be able to find a way to make this thing faint every week. The beauty in the curves, that immaculate shell. I think this is one of our most fine pieces on display here today. And while it may not be the fastest fairy in the world, it's certainly bulky. It reminds one of an era dominated by Togekiss, where fairy flying type was a very prominent defensive typing and caused problems for many physical attackers. And while Goodra Hisui is weak to ground types, having a bulky flying type that also happens to be a fairy is an incredible way to synergize with the two. And also, it's very nice to complete a Fairy Dragon Steel core with just 2 Pokémon. moving on to our next piece here today, we have this classic, incredibly nostalgic and timeless piece known as Tyranitar. Now this piece has been passed down through generation to generation, being one of the most overused of art pieces in the modern era. But this spin on the modern Godzilla classic shows that there is still new life to be breathed into such classics. Tyranitar meshes quite well with the pieces on display so far, and whilst it might seem quite out of the ordinary, when one takes a peek beneath the surface, they notice that Sandstorm synergizes very well with the pics so far. Enamorous Therian has the ability Overcoat, which makes it immune to Sandstorm damage, and Goodra Hisui is obviously a Steel type, and therefore cares little for Sandstorm damage. When these three incredible pieces are paired together, it gives one a sense of a deeper complexity in life that we don't quite understand ourselves. The Lord Almighty Arceus has a plan for each and every one of us, and if we just allow ourselves to be taken along in its whimsy, allow ourselves to submit to the word of our Lord Almighty, then our lives may mean something in the grander scheme of things. Now, when one looks back at the previous photos and portraits so far, they draw a comparison that Sandstorm is the main key to this draft, and OnesieBanette himself has never done such a thing. So when the next portrait arrived at my door earlier today, I was astounded. I've never seen such a daring use of draft picks. The next Pokémon to be drafted here was Houndstone, a ghost type that is, yet again, immune to Sandstorm. This draft so far, it oozes daring, it oozes delicacy, and it creates an illusion of deeper meaning beneath the surface. When one looks at the pairing of Houndstone and Sandstorm with Tyranitar, they see an all-out onslaught. They see a team ready to throw up their lives, willing to sacrifice themselves for the greater good. But then you compare it with the power and precision of the other Pokémon in this draft, and it suddenly becomes very interesting. Big Mama T, the Houndstone, will surely have a part to play amongst the rest of the pieces in this exhibition. Now, it is very important to remember that human beings initially descended from Pokémon, and more specifically, monkey Pokémon. Primate Pokémon. Pokémon that were able to step away from what Arceus had planned for them. Evolve, if you wish. And it is important to remember that our humble beginnings on this planet were as primates. And that is what this piece here represents. It represents humble beginnings, simplicity, and an urge to click choice-banded Woodhammer with the Grassy Surge ability every single game. Whilst Rillaboom may have lost its ability to Grassy Glide, it gained an ability to hit hard as it always has. Woodhammer in the Grassy Surge is an absolute monstrosity and should always be treated with respect. Now, the ability to pivot around between Palafin and Rillaboom is certainly going to be very, very useful. And with the ability to go from two monstrous attack stats in Palafin and Rillaboom is going to be very, very powerful. You don't know which one of these two pieces is going to deal the most damage. You don't know which one of these two pieces is going to be the one that clicks the big Unga Bunga move and deals the damage. Who could guess? Who would want to guess? It's going to be very fun to find out and watch as things unfold. And while some of the latest discoveries in the world of evolution dictate that humans evolved from Pokémon, there are some Pokémon that simply failed to evolve back into what we know them as today. Certain Pokémon became extinct or adapted to their environments to overcome certain environmental challenges. And this piece here, Dedueye Hisui, is one such piece that just evokes an essence of adapting, overcoming, and also it's a viable defogger. Its signature move, Triple Arrows, is going to be very difficult for opponents to counter and switch into effectively due to the defense lowering properties it has. And while we look at this portrait, this incredible depiction of a Pokémon long forgotten to time, we remember that it also gets U-turn and is able to pivot effectively with Rillaboom and Palafin. The speed tier may be a little bit low, but that doesn't mean the Triple Arrows doesn't go whoa. Now, as we return to our Sandstorm theming here today, we remember that pivoting is something that our national champion, OnesieBanette, holds dear to his heart. And there was only one Pokemon he could pick that would fulfill the need to be immune to Sandstorm, and have hazards, and be an electric type, and be able to pivot. And that is this incredible piece right here. Sandy Shocks, as it is called, reminds us that fantasies can come to life. While sometimes we may plan our lives a specific way, and sometimes things might not go to plan. If you find yourself in a situation that you aren't able to escape from, you can always click Volt Switch. Now, this exhibition so far has been rife with incredible depictions of Pokemon from a forgotten age. Pokemon that failed to adapt to their environments in a way that allowed them to showcase their talents effectively. The next portrait here is an example of a Pokemon that did adapt to improve its viability. And that Pokemon is Avalock. This incredible depiction by Vincent van Gogh displays an Avalock proudly standing in the face of adversity. Rapid spinning away hazards that plague the rest of this draft, being one of only 2 viable removal options so far. It's certainly going to offer a little bit of a defensive usage, a little bit of versatility, and hopefully it will be able to perform admirably. We certainly hope it will. Now, as we stand here today in the Paldea Grand National Exhibition Arts Center, we are surrounded by artists trying to make their way in the world. People who have proudly put their work on display for us to see here. And how better to show pride than the following depiction of an incredible Pokemon right here. Pyroar, the proud lion standing firmly against the harsh environments of OU and Draft League. This Pokemon provides a flame that shall not be extinguished so lightly. A little bit of punching power against the difficult terrain that is the Gen 9 draft format at the moment. If we ever lose sight of our goals and what we wish to achieve, just remember, if you are proud of the work that you put out into the world, if you are proud of who you are as a person, if you remain proud of what you have accomplished and achieved, no matter what the physical outcome may be, you have achieved something beautiful, my friend. And whilst this Pyroar drawing right here might not be the work of a Vincent van Gogh or a Pablo Picasso, it simply remains astounding. Now, in typical OnesieBanette style, during this draft, he forgot to pick up some speed, and that's always a problem that he has found every single draft he's been in. And the issue he had is that, of the points he had left, he did not really have enough points to pick up something uber fast, and therefore, he couldn't just draft one Pokemon. He drafted three. Three luscious boys with incredible hair. That's right. A Lowland Dugtrio joins the team. Now, this picture reminds us that when we are alone, when we feel like no one is there for us, there is always someone standing right next to you, spurring you on, pushing you forward to reach your goals. And even when one alone might not be good enough, there are always people to help you out. And also, they have kick-ass hair. And finally, with only a single point remaining on this team, Onesie decided he would showcase some more undiscovered talent. A talent that he's admired for a good while now, and decided to draw upon not his usual suspect and not go with his mascot. He's decided to pick up a fellow ghost type, Misdreavus. Little Sputtermane will be joining the draft. And this depiction right here of Misdreavus shows a Pokemon that's ready, versatile, incredibly tailorable, adaptable to its environment, and able to perform admirably under pressure. And what more can we ask for than that? Remember, sometimes things may be difficult. Things may be very rough indeed, my friends, but this collection here today tells us that alone, we may be incapable of performing the tasks we need to perform. But as long as we stick together and work to become the best version of ourselves, we can achieve anything. We cover each other's weaknesses. We allow support and assistance from other members of our society. And that's what living is all about. Reach out to a friend in need. reach out to a friend you haven't spoken to in a while. Check on how they're doing. And your life will become a lot more viable. But yes, whilst this showcase has shown some incredible works of art, the real art is yet to come. Welcome to the Paldea Battle Academy.